Felton. I'm a senior editor of Bike Magazine. We're in the Kingdom Trails in Eastburg, Vermont. Today we're checking out BMC Speedfox 02 Trailcrew. It's a new model for BMC. They've had Speedfoxes before, but they were 29ers with 130 millimeters of travel. Very much trail bikes. This has got 650B wheels, 150 millimeters of travel. They're looking for something more aggressive, and in their words, something more playful and fun. It's a pretty slack bike, 66.5 degree head angle. I won't even do the geometry thing. The key thing you need to know is this is very much an all-mountain bike, and it's a different bike for BMC. This one here, $5,900. That comes with an XO1 group on this, a RockShox revert post, pike fork. If that's too much money for you, you can also get one that doesn't have a carbon frame, the Speedfox 03 Trailcrew, and that runs for about $3,900. But again,
But wait.
Included
in that $5,900 price is what?
Cane Creek DB Air inline rear shock.
That ain't cheap.
No, it's not. It's an expensive shock, right? I mean, you're going to expect to see a Fox or a RockShox. Not a lot of people put a Cane Creek on. That does make it unusual, and we're going to get into why that matters. So, what did you guys think?
Go on, Travis.
Okay. It rode more nimbly than a bike that was 150 front and rear to me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which was welcomed on the trails that we're facing out here. I mean,
Short change day is 16.7 or 8.
Yeah, super impressive. And I mean, it fit really well. Everything really fit well with a 650B wheel platform.
Yeah, and compared to a lot of 150 mil bikes, it did feel more upright, a little more nimble. The trade-off for me was it also, the suspension is interesting. It's a good modern design. That shock is an incredible piece of work, but I spent a fair bit of time setting it up and was always grappling a little bit with a certain degree of chatter off of the top of stuff. Not in a bad way. The harder you started riding it and hitting things, the better it worked, but that is a complex shock, and I think it needs more setup than you can really put into it in just a few rides.
Oh god, yeah. And in Cane Creek, that's their thing, right? It's the shock for people who are kind of geeky tuners, right? High speed, low speed compression, high speed, low speed rebound. They've got a whole little, lounge on their website where people get to talk about their tuning. I mean, you kind of got to be into it. But to that end, they're very much like, here's a card, here are the base settings, and fiddle with it, which is something, frankly, we don't have the time to do here at our Bible. But that said, this thing was set up with the base settings. You found a little chattery on the top. What did the rest of you guys think?
Normally those base settings are pretty spot on for me. We rode a lot of the inline bikes last year.
Yeah.
This one, I pretty much had to scrap them. I mean, they started off and it was really wallowy. That asked for 17 millimeters of sag. I ended up settling on more like 14 millimeters.
I was trying 15.
Yeah. So it really is the manufacturer's opinion of how the shock is to be set up. But just like you said, this is for somebody who really wants to take as many of those settings into their own hands. And it absolutely lets you. And I think that's one of the reasons I was able to get it to be that nimble, plantable kind of a machine that it has potential to be. So it takes time.
What did you guys think of the rest of the components on this thing?
Solid spec.
XO1 again, 1x drivetrain.
Yeah. No complaints.
XT brakes, reliable. I thought they had a badge string on their XO1 1x. I thought that was a nice little touch.
This is the first thing that I noticed when I climbed on it. Not necessarily the top tube, but the effective seat angle. So I kind of like, there's a place that I expect my body to be when I climb on a bike, and my ass was halfway off the back of the seat. Take a look at the profile of the frame, and it points down a good inch and a half in front of the bottom bracket. So the actual seat angle, I was playing with strings and plumb bobs, and I couldn't get a number. In my bedroom, I was playing with strings and plumb bobs, and then I went into the garage.
But you do that anyway.
Yeah. So, it puts you pretty far over that bottom bracket. And I actually, when I got it, I slid the seat all the way back in the seat post. If you get a seat post with a rear offset, it'll make it a little bit more normal looking.
I liked that it had That if I was able to put the seat in the center of the rails instead of having to slam it all the way forward to try and not feel like I was pedaling a recumbent because I got short legs. And between that and the short chainstays, I thought it was a good position to pedal uphill in. The bike itself was a little bit heavy.
It's over 29 pounds.
We're talking 200, with that weight, you're getting 203 millimeter front rotor, it's 180 back rotor. It's got serious brakes on it, and what were we running tires on this one? Was this the Onzas?
They were the Onzas, yeah.
Really good,
Two
meaty,
forks front and back, too.
Yeah.
meaty, good sticky tires. I mean, I haven't ridden these Onzas yet. I was very impressed with them. But I liked that pedaling position. I thought that was kind of neat, especially on a bike of that much travel. It's a little bit of a departure from what is kind of common.
Yeah.
So last year I grappled with the BMC that we had.
Yes.
And this year I didn't. I enjoyed it. I think that it needs careful attention to shock setup. And I think that with careful attention to shock setup, it really could yield some benefits. And the rest of it, good spec for the price, solid kit, good handling bike. Different good handling bike. It wasn't quite run of the mill.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. If you want to know more about this bike, you can check out our Bible bike test issue. If you want to see more bike test videos, go to bikemag.com.